morning. We're doing another morning of tea and tarot. As always, if you have any personal questions or you're trying to, struggling with something in your life, needing clarity on it, then just set the intention, put that out there so that your question will be answered during this session. But I also do individual personal readings and energy work sessions if anyone ever needs to go deep diving into their life stuff. You can book online with me. But for this is for those that are new. This is more of a general reading to tune into the energy that's out there right now, what to expect for the next couple weeks. So I'm going to the Work Your Light Oracle deck, which is a beautiful deck. And this is what the cover of it looks like. A lot of these cards I do sell in my shop. Some of them are out of print now, so some of them I don't, but I try to use a lot of the newer ones so they're easy to find. Okay. So I pulled the Keepers of the Earth card to kick us off this morning. And this card is beautiful card here, showing all of the different energetic manifestations and also generations with our guides and angels and ancestors up here, and then our energy here connecting to the earth, and our light body, our spirit body. So when I'm looking at this card, I'm really drawn to the evolution between our physical body and our spiritual body. And some of you might have been really feeling this call lately where your intuition is pulling you and wanting you to spend more time with it and more time in meditation or more time in solitude or in quiet, listening to that inner voice. And sometimes that can be difficult to connect to when we have a lot of outside busyness or outside activity going on, which happens this time of year. It's a very busy time of year, especially for those of you with kids going back to school and all that kind of hustle, getting back into that routine. Anytime we sort of shift seasonally, it takes a bit for our body and our energy to adjust. So this card is asking us to anchor ourselves into our spiritual body, into that part of ourselves that's intuitive, that knows things, that's very connected to everything. So if you've been feeling disconnected lately, this card is sort of Spirit saying to you, just take some time, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes every day, just to take a moment to connect. Might be first thing in the morning, work it into your routine. You get up, you do whatever you do, you brush your teeth, and maybe you sit for a minute or 5 minutes and you're just connecting to your spiritual self, your soul, your whatever you want to call it, your higher self, your light body, connecting to that and rebooting your physical body with it. So allowing that connection to occur, because that will strengthen your physical body as well and your energy. So if you've been feeling exhausted, it's often because we need to ground and be more connected to the earth. But in this case, Spirit is saying it's time for us to start really stepping into our energy or stepping into our power, really deeply connecting with ourselves. And if you have been doing this already, that's wonderful. Spirit's saying, okay, let's take it a step further. So and you don't have to, take courses or grab books or anything to do this. You can totally do this on your own. But if you feel really stuck and if you feel that will help you, or that will help you sort of structure your connection, then you might want to sign up for something so that it's kind of making you stay on track with it. I do find that sometimes when people take the Shamanic Journey class with me, they really like it because it's a 4-week program that gets them back into the routine of connecting to that part of themselves that maybe they hadn't set the intention to connect to or hadn't put the time aside to connect to, and then they're having to do it. So sometimes that kind of stuff can help, like signing up for a course or a workshop. But this card is definitely letting us know that Spirit has our back. They are supporting us through all of the shifts and changes that we're going through right now. And I feel like there's a message of hope in this card too, where it's saying balance is we're coming back into balance out of the chaos that we've all been experiencing. So hopefully we'll start to feel that and see that in our lives. But it is definitely part of the plan that's happening right now. It's being laid as the energetic template. So more balance is coming. So welcome to those who just joined. Just to let you know that this recording will be available on Instagram, so you can review it, fast forward through it, go back to the parts that you missed. I also post it on my website, circleoflightwellness.com, under Tea and Tarot episodes, and there's a ton. And you can go back to even ones from a year ago, and they might be relevant to what's going on with you right now. It's really remarkable how that happens. Even reading books that were like written in the 70s and the 80s and even earlier and beyond, sometimes you'll pick up an older book and it's really relevant to what's going on with you right now. So some of these things are timeless. I'm going to the Magic of Unicorns deck next. It's a new deck to me, and I did work with it last week, but this is what the cover of it looks like, by Diana Cooper, for those who love unicorns. A whole deck with unicorns, and the back of the cards are quite nice. So I'm going to just randomly pick our unicorn card. All right, and this one actually came up a few weeks ago. And this is a card about being a beacon. It's about letting your light shine. It's about being out there with what you do. So sometimes energy workers or healers, we like to stay hidden. We don't like to broadcast what we do. I don't know why that is. I think it's like an ego thing. Like we're just not that way. But also, I think a lot of it has to do with past lives, maybe where we were persecuted or judged, or bad things happened to us when we were out there with our wild and wacky abilities. But Spirit's saying now it's time, it's needed on the earth for those of you who are light workers or are healers or have something to give. It doesn't even have to be in a healing capacity. It could just be sharing your gifts. So we're being asked by Spirit to be out there and share our gifts and put ourselves out there, which can be hard sometimes. You might have a gift or an ability or a talent that you've been kind of keeping to yourself and sort of slowly working on, and you're not quite ready to share it yet because maybe you're feeling a little doubtful or insecure about it. And Spirit's saying it's now time for you to put that out there and offer that service or yourself to others, because even though you might not feel fully ready, I don't know if anyone ever feels fully ready, but you have to understand the magic that the people that are for you will come to you. So you might be in the beginning stages of something, but then the people that come to you are going to need you to get them to that next step, and then they'll find someone to take them to the next step. So if you're teaching or offering something, you don't have to feel like you've completely mastered it before you're out there. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean you take a weekend workshop and then all of a sudden you're like, putting it out there. But when I talk about mastering it, I mean you don't have to take 50 years of your life to deeply study something before you can share it. There's a balance there. So this is about letting your light shine, letting your gifts, sharing them, being out there with it, not letting your self-doubt side rail you, because Spirit's saying it's needed right now. What you have to offer is really needed right now. And even if you can just really help one person, and it might just be a conversation, but be out there, shine your light, be a beacon, be that lighthouse for others, because you don't always know the people in your life, what's going on with them and who needs it. It might just be smiling at somebody in the grocery line. That can make a huge difference in someone's life. So Spirit's saying, shine your light, stop hiding it under a bushel, get out there with it. All right, even if you're a little uncomfortable, just get out there with it. Just let that love just beam it out like the Care Bears. Okay, all right. So I'm going to the Light Seers Tarot for our next card. It's one of my favorite tarot decks right now. I kind of go through stages with my tarot decks, and this is my go-to lately. I just really love the images. Okay. And the Two of Swords is coming up here, and you can see in this picture how she's blindfolded, but can't see, tangled up in string. She's got these ravens coming at her. She's not totally freaking out. She's kind of like, she's almost got a bit of a smile, kind of like, oh yeah, I know what this is. I've been here before. I've done this to myself. So for some of you who feel like you're stuck in things or repeating a pattern, it's not as bad as it was the first time you went through it. It's not a shock. It's not a surprise. Some of you might be like, oh yeah, I've done it to myself. I went back in that pothole. I went back in that relationship. I went back into that toxic work environment. Did it to myself, and I'm trapped again. But you won't be as trapped as long as you were the first time. Okay, and sometimes we do that. We go back and forth, we go back and forth and back and forth before we decide to make a big change. And so this card is coming up to remind you that the power is within you. There's nothing coming at you. Even these ravens, they're not attacking her. If anything, they're almost trying to help cut the strings. So rely on spirit, like ask for help outside of yourself if you're really stuck. And that might be the help in the form of a life coach or a counselor or a good friend, or just, getting back into your spiritual practice. But you can easily get out of this. You're not that tangled. So if you're feeling stuck right now, don't beat yourself up. Don't spend a lot of time feeling bad about being in the stuck energy. Just be like, okay, well, here I am again. That's all right. I'm going to, keep trying. So if you've gotten off your routine, maybe you started an exercise program and you went off the rails, or maybe decided you were going to not eat certain things or do things differently or declutter your house or whatever it is, whatever your thing is that you're working on. If you feel you slid off of it, Spirit's saying don't beat yourself up. You're not that stuck. You can easily get out of it. You can easily turn it around. So by keeping that mindset, okay? All right, now let's go to the Spirit Animal Oracle deck next. I do love fall. As I've mentioned before, I think summer is my favorite season. I don't know, I just love it when everything's growing and the sun, and I love to swim. But I do really love fall, but I feel like it's going really fast. Like, I can't believe Thanksgiving in Canada has already been and gone. And now we're getting into like Halloween pumpkin stuff already, and I'm like, I just wanted to slow down a little bit so I can enjoy it more. Gosh. I don't know if you guys are finding that too, but we've been blessed in Ontario with some really beautiful warm days lately, so more of that hopefully going forward. All right, Spirit Animal Oracle, Wombat Spirit. Interesting. Never pulled this one before. About being at home. And when I go to the energy of this card, it's not about being at home in your home, although that is another way to be at home. I feel like this card is asking us to be at home in ourselves, in our bodies, because this is your home for your spirit in this lifetime. This meat suit we're in is your home, and we do have to take care of it. We do have to acknowledge it, and we do have to, maintain it, just like you would your other vehicles. Otherwise, things fall apart. So Spirit's reminding us we need to be at home in this and remember that we are inside this, because sometimes it's easy to get outside of it. And for a lot of us who do energy work, we spend a lot of time not fully in our body. So reminding ourselves to come back into our body, to ground into it, to really connect, to love it, to give it what it needs, give it the fuel and love that it needs to keep going. And I find yoga really helps me stay in my body, or physical activity. And it doesn't have to be exercise. It could be doing something, making something, gardening, that kind of thing. Anything kind of physical where I'm really using my body helps keep me in my body. Also breathing exercises help a lot of people stay in their body too. So there's lots of different ways, but this is about being at home in your body. So reconnecting to yourself, grounding into that energy, but also being at home. And some of us go through stages in life where we're comfortable in our body, we're not comfortable in our body, we're mad at our body, we're like, we're happy with it, we're not, like, we can have all kinds of crazy emotions in different states with regards to how we feel about our body. But Spirit's saying right now, the healing for us, the deep healing, involves us really connecting to our body instead of disassociating from it. So start to look at that. Start to look at your body and where you're uncomfortable in your body, okay? And where that healing needs to take place, where you feel sensitive about certain things. Maybe there's something you're trying to heal in your body that you've been trying for years to heal in your body, and you're frustrated and you're not getting anywhere with it. It might be time to kind of look for help there, or try a different approach. It could be that you're trying to get into physical shape in your body, and that's going slowly, or that's not going the way that it used to maybe 20 or 30 years ago or 10 years ago. So it's about getting comfortable where you are right now and making peace with where you are right now. And then by doing that, that's really going to shift a lot of things and make this process easier. So Spirit's saying, do whatever you can do right now to have that at-home feeling, that comfortable feeling where you know yourself, you're okay with yourself in whatever shape or form that takes. But that's really important right now. That's the message that we're being given. So do whatever you need to do. It doesn't have to happen overnight. It's a lifelong process. I'm experiencing that energy right now. I'm trying to get back into more of a routine of exercise. And so my body's been very sore and kind of cranky. But I'm just trying to be really gentle with it at the same time and tuning in and listening to what it needs. And if that means taking a day off, then I do that. If that means stepping it up a bit, then I try to do that as well. So it's just finding that new balance with yourself. Because some of us have been quite disconnected from our bodies over the last year and a half. That tends to happen when we go through, big shifts and changes, and with all of the fear and everything that was rolling around out there, it really ungrounded a lot of us. So it's important to get back to yourself. All right, so we're going to the Angel Guide Oracle cards next, and I pulled Angelic Protection. So Spirit's reminding us that we are protected, we are held. We're not just bouncing around on the planet all on our own with no one caring. We do have spirit guides and angels with us that are always with us, guiding and protecting us. Whether we feel them or not, they're absolutely there, and you can ask them for help whenever you feel you need help, okay? I make it a practice to ask them for help every morning, just like with whatever I need to help bring me clarity, to help make the day go smoothly, to help me find the right words when I'm speaking to people. Whatever it is you need, you can ask your guides and angels for that. And they're there and they're offering protection to you. So if you are feeling like your energy's low, or you're going through some healing, or you're feeling vulnerable or not quite yourself, ask your guides and angels to come and wrap their energy and love around you while you go through that transition. And by opening up and inviting them, you will start to feel that. You'll start to feel that energy, and you'll start to feel it shift. They can't just jump in and start doing that without our permission. We have to give permission. We have to send out a prayer. And that really is what prayer is. It's asking Spirit for help. So whatever spirits you connect with that you feel drawn to, ask them for help. And just notice when you do that this week, how things shift and change for you and become a bit easier, and how you feel a little more protected, a little more, you'll feel that unconditional love. It's really amazing. So get into the practice of asking for help. I think it's good, because some of us wait until, we're stubborn. We like to do things ourselves. We wait until things get really bad before we ask for help. But you can ask for help every single day, before things get bad. So, all right. So let's go to our next deck, the Spellcasting Oracle. And we'll go there. And that's these cards. I've used them a couple times, but it's a very nice deck. It kind of grew on me. I didn't really, when I first got it, I almost didn't open it. I'm like, it's just not doing it for me. But once I got into the deck, and it's one of my favorites now. All right, so I'm pulling the Commitment card. All right. And this isn't just about committing in relationships, although it might be referring to that for some of you. Commitment is about, it's about commitment, but it's about deciding, okay? So sometimes in life we're not sure about something, and we can be unsure about things for a very long time. And I have people ask me all the time in private sessions about relationships and jobs and different things like that. And my answer is usually, if you're constantly questioning something, if you're constantly wondering if it's the right thing for you, and this has been going on for months and maybe even years, then chances are it might not be, or you won't be questioning it all the time. But this card is asking us to commit. It's asking us to commit to ourselves, to commit to our path, to commit to our partner, to commit to our job, to commit to whatever we're doing. And if you don't feel that you can fully commit to the things in your life, then you need to start looking at them and to really honestly view them and see if they are the things that are for you. Okay? Like there needs to be some time when something is new in our life before we can decide if we're fully committing to it. But this card is really wanting us to look at this right now. So for some of you, you've been sitting on the fence with things, or waffling, or back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and Spirit's saying, go into your heart, go into that deep feeling, ask the question that you need to ask, and then follow through on the answer you get, and really commit to yourself, commit to your path, commit to the action, commit to the promises that you've made to yourself, keep them, and other people, and look at your relationships and all of the places where you put energy in your life, and decide, are these things worth your commitment or not? And if they are, then commit to them and really do that. Because once you do that, and once you decide on something, and once you put your energy there, that's when things really start to shift and happen and move forward. So if you feel like you've been stuck and in that waffling energy and going nowhere, it's because there needs to be a commitment. You either need to make one to yourself, or one that involves other people or other things in your life. And then you'll start to see things shift rather quickly. Okay? So that's the message from that card there. Let's go to this deck next. Okay, so this is the Sacred Traveler Oracle deck, which is a new deck to me. It's by Denise Lynn, and she also does the Sacred Destiny deck, which I'll go to, and the Native Spirit deck, actually. She has a few decks that I really, really love. But the Sacred Traveler one is a new deck that I've just had, I think, for the last few weeks. And I love it. I love it. I also love the purple, love the back of it. Anyway. Okay, so the card that's coming up is Choosing Your Path. And this is in alignment with the earlier card about committing. And choosing your path, can be hard sometimes, especially when you feel like there's 4 or 5 paths in front of you. It's like, well, which one do I choose? Just pick one and start going down it. As soon as you start moving down it and start making decisions and taking action and going in a direction, you'll find out very quickly if it's right for you or not. You can always go back. You can always reverse. Okay, sometimes we forget this in life when we're making choices. You can always go back to your past, meaning you can always go back to what you know. Because you know that. It's comfortable. You've done it before. You can always go back to that. But sometimes when we're endeavoring to make change in our lives and go to a place we've never been before, we're going into that unknown, and it's very scary. And so there's a tendency to want to come back to our past, even though maybe that's not the direction we're supposed to go in. So Spirit is telling us to choose our path, even though we might not know where it leads. It's like, pick one, start going down it, start taking steps in that direction, and just notice how you feel as you go along. You'll get really clear signs from the universe and from your body and your energy if it's right for you or not. And if it isn't, then you can come all the way back and start over, or you can just side trail, do a loop. Like it's very much like hiking life, just find a path and just take it. And sometimes you get off the path and you're bushwhacking, you're like, what's happening? But you have to trust, and making that choice, like you're the only one who can decide, basically. No one can do this for you. You have to decide to go forward on something. Once you start going, then you build the momentum, then you'll get the clarity as to whether or not to keep going. But we need to commit, and we need to start taking some steps. Okay? So that's for everybody. I'm going to go to the Native Spirit Oracle next, which is also by the same author, Denise Lynn. And I just pulled the Ancient Forest card. So I think almost every 2 weeks you guys hear me harass you a little bit about getting outside. Always, always. But it really is important. I mean, just walking in the woods with those trees, like the trees have been here a lot longer than we have. All right. And their roots go deep. So this is a card, Ancient Forest. Like these are the old trees. So in your neighborhood or in your area, find a spot where you can find some of those really old trees, those old grandfather, grandmother trees. Maybe they're a couple 100 years old. And just spend some time sitting near one or laying on the ground by one. They've been here longer than you. They've seen things that you haven't seen. There's a lot of wisdom and energy, beautiful energy with these grandmother and grandfather trees. And maybe meditate there, or just take your problems to the tree and say, you know what, these are the things happening in my life right now. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I need direction. I need clarity. And just be with the energy of the tree, and you might find that, you know, magically, like some wisdom comes to you, or a feeling, or some words, or some clarity. But these trees they're all connected. All of our trees are connected. You can even connect to a young tree and find the wisdom of an old tree moving through it. But it's really beautiful, especially in your area where you live or on your property, if you can connect to some of your ancient trees for information and for energy and for healing. It's a really beautiful experience. So I feel like Spirit's asking us to do that, to take some time, get outside while you can, while the weather's still great, and do that. And if you've got little kids or little grandchildren, or, you know, younger brothers and sisters, like, they love this stuff. Take them with you. They'll get right into it with you. And it'll be interesting to see how everybody experiences that tree slightly differently. So if you have some time, I highly recommend doing that over the next couple of weeks. Lots of really interesting information can come from trees. And I often joke about this, but I think that there's a reason why the enlightened masters of the past used to teach sitting under trees. You know, was that wisdom all coming from just them, or were they connecting to the wisdom of the tree and sharing that with their students? Right? Have to wonder. Anyway, okay, going to the Magdalene Oracle for our next card. And I'm pulling the Matrix card. I don't know if I've pulled this one with you guys before. But this to me is a card of creation. It's almost like that point zero of nothing and everything, that void of all creation, which is the all-encompassing nothing and everything at the same time, because it's pure potential, but it's nothing materially, meaning nothing has been created in it yet. It's just pure energy. And I feel like that's what we're in right now. And Spirit is saying to us, we are in this energetic soup of potential, of this energy that hasn't become solid particle mass yet. It's still like that energy wave. And we're being asked to overlay our focus or our energy or our attention on this loose energy to create from it. So this card is about being mindful of where your thoughts are, what you want to create in your life, where you're putting your time and energy and focus. Imagine that coming out of your forehead, out your third eye, you've got a spotlight, like a headlamp. And whatever you look at or wherever you put your energy, it magnifies it and it creates more of it. It multiplies it. So if you're really focused on fear, guess what? You're going to create more fear. If you're really focused on being angry or frustrated, guess what? You're going to create more of that. But if you're really focused on creativity and, you know, a beautiful future you want to create for yourself, or abundance, or perfect health and wellness, better relationships, then guess what? You're going to create more of that. So we're really being asked to be aware of what we're putting here and what we're putting out there, because we're putting it out there into this neutral energetic soup that it's then being created and coming to us in the form of experience. And we're more in control of that process than we might think. So Spirit's saying, remember the cosmic energy we're in. It's like this cosmic soup, and you're creating it with your thoughts and with your energy and with your actions and with your intentions, okay? And a lot of it is unconscious. So that's why meditation is wonderful. That's why journaling is wonderful. That's how this gratitude journaling thing works. You hear about that all the time, because you're writing that stuff down. And when you're writing stuff down, you're thinking about it. You're putting it in your focus. So if you feel like your mind is crazy and all over the place and out of control, then start with writing and journaling to sort your thoughts out. And that will really help you focus as well. But this is a really magical card. It means that we're at a time right now where you can create anything for yourself. Really, the sky is the limit. Your mind is the limit, is the only limit on this. So it's a really great time to shift from A to B and just hold that focus. Like, keep that awareness. Be like, okay, whatever I focus on is expanding. And we're all human beings. We get emotional, and you're going to have times where you're stuck in a negative thought pattern. But then you can remember that and be like, okay, yeah, I'm focusing on it. I'm creating more of it. Okay, well, let's focus on something else. So if you're struggling with money, for example, instead of focusing on the debt or focusing on the stress of that, just put your focus on abundance, and that money is coming to you from all directions. It doesn't have to be specific, just see it coming to you from all directions. Just like the rain coming down, it's just coming from all directions. Like you're magnetic, it's sticking to you. Do whatever visualization you want to do, that's fun, and with a light heart. And then by shifting your energy to that, you'll start finding money starts finding its way to you. It's very, very interesting. So you can do that with anything. You can do that with health. You can do that with relationships, opportunities. Just try that over the next couple of weeks. Really notice what you're focusing on and what is expanding in your life, and how this has a lot to do with it. Okay, we're going to the fairy cards next. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I was talking about how much I love fall, and I can just pull this card and it says wait for winter. I'm like, I'd like to wait a long time for winter. I don't mind winter, but I like summer. Winter is okay. Actually, I think it's good to have things that you like to do in the winter to help make winter better if you're not a fan. So for those who don't have 4 seasons and are living in sun 24/7, we get snow here. So anyway, this card, I think, is about not just waiting for winter, but preparing for winter. And I don't mean about preparing for winter just by getting your house or yard ready or your car ready and your snow tires on and all that kind of stuff, stocking up your cupboards. About getting ready for winter for yourself in terms of, because in winter, we go inward. It's like the dream of winter where we sort of energetically hibernate slightly. And it looks like nothing's happening in the winter, especially outside. Everything's under this blanket of snow. But in fact, it's the most active time. It's the most active season because it's when the plants are dreaming the dream of what they're going to become in the spring. They're laying down that energetic template of what they're going to grow into. So it's the framework that everything is built upon. And we do this in the winter as well. We go through the cycles. The spring, we're planting and growing, experimenting, trying new things. The summer, we're enjoying the fruition of that. In the fall, right now, we're assessing everything. What worked? What didn't? Literally, in your garden. Well, we grew this, and it took up a lot of space and did a whole lot of nothing. But this did great. We're going to do this next year. And you kind of figure that out, how to evolve it or make it more efficient or better for the following year. But we do that with everything in our lives, too. Oh, I put a lot of time and energy on this and it didn't pan out, and I tried this and that didn't work, and this worked great, and that was a surprise. And we do this, we assess it. So fall is the harvest. It's the harvest in our life where we look at everything that we've completed this year and decide, what are we keeping and what are we letting go of, and what do we want to carry forward into our future. So it's the perfect time to clear clutter in your home and just, get rid of stuff in that regard, but also energetically, emotionally, physically as well. And so we can prepare because we want to go into winter unencumbered by the stuff from our past that we don't need. Okay? You want to get that sorted out now in the fall. So we're preparing in the fall. We're discarding what we don't need. We're tidying up what we need to tidy up. So when we go into winter, we can go into that beautiful dream of winter where we can take advantage of that energy from that last card. Where did it go? I don't know. That matrix one that I pulled. Is it Magdalene Oracle? Yes. Here we go. So that we can go into this and dream a new dream and have that come to fruition in our spring and for our next yearly cycle. So for all of us, just to use an example, this whole COVID situation that we are all in collectively, let's dream a new dream so that we can get out of that dream, because it's so yesterday. All right, let's be done with it. Let's just shift right out of it and focus on some other stuff. I'm not talking about being in denial and pretending it doesn't exist. It exists, but stop putting it here. Okay, stay off the news, stay off all the junk, and just focus on how you want it to go instead of how you're afraid it might go. And let's see if we collectively do that, how quickly we can shift things. because we are all bouncing around in each other's energy too. We do co-create together. So this is about getting ready for your winter, getting ready for dreaming what you want to create next year, which is going to be really exciting and better than this year, okay? All right, so I'm just checking the time. I think I'll go to one more card and then we will go to the angel card. So I'm going to wrap up with the Universal Love deck. Let's see what we have here. Divine Guidance card is the one that came up. Again, we're being kind of asked to have a lot of trust and faith in spirit right now, but we're also being asked to ask for help. So just a reminder that you're not alone on the earth. I know sometimes it feels like we're alone. We're surrounded by people. We're surrounded by friends and family. And sometimes it can feel like you're totally alone. You're on a lone journey. It's just you against the world. And it kind of is sometimes. But Spirit's saying, like, we're here, we're in the background, like, we've got this, like, we're your team, you're just not using us. So remember to ask your guides and angels for help, because they really are there on standby. They can't just jump into your life and start rearranging it without permission. Okay, probably the best way for me to explain that relationship, it's almost like when you're a parent and you have children, and when they're really small and babies, you're obviously with them 24/7 taking care of them. But as they get older, you have to kind of let them have more and more freedom. So as they learn to walk, you're kind of watching and hoping they don't fall. But if they do, you're sort of watching to see, are they going to cry? Do they need you? Or are they okay and they're going to work it out? So as a parent, it's slowly detaching from your children. It's heartbreaking. As they get older and then they become adults, they learn to drive, they do all these things, and you're just like, oh my God, I hope they don't die. And then they're living their own lives. And my guys are all like in their 20s now, and it's been a process. And I'm in that empty nest stage of my life, and it's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Because like I loved it when they were little and cuddly and all the time, but it's that letting them go and letting them figure it out. And that's like our relationship with our spirit guides. They're not going to jump in and get all in our lives and mess with stuff unless we ask for help. Because if we're not asking for help, they're assuming we're fine and we're okay going in circles and we're okay banging our head against the wall. It's kind of like your GPS in your car, like you could just drive and figure stuff out on your own. But if you get stuck or lost, then you go to that for help. So think of your spirit guide as passenger in the car. You're the one driving, but they're there for help if you need it. Okay? But they're not just going to chime in until you ask. So get into the habit of asking spirit for help and just notice how that shifts and changes things really incredibly, actually. That's where you hear stories of people that are like, I prayed and this miracle happened. I'm like, yeah, because you finally surrendered and asked for help. And for some of us, we have to get it to rock bottom before we consider asking for help from spirit. So you don't have to wait until your life is total disaster. You can ask for help when it's good. Anyway, so that's just spirit saying again, we're here, we're ready to work with you. You guys need to ask us for help. And that's come up a few times today. So some of you haven't been asking your guides and angels for help, and they're like, they really are shouting at you. They're like, we're here, you can use us. So obviously free will, personal choice, you don't have to, but I definitely recommend trying it, and just to see the difference, because spirit is there and they're saying, we're ready to work, we're ready to help you. All right, so we're going to go to the angel wing cards to wrap this up. So for those who are new, I pick a golden wing card, a silver wing card, and then this other card, which is like called the key card. Gotta find a silver wing one. I'm going to ask my guides and angels for help getting this ding dong trailer finished. It was supposed to come back to me in June. Oh man, delays. Okay. So the silver wing card, guidance through power of prayer. Right? Gotta love that. That's what we were just talking about. Prayer, asking for help. Review and reset your life goals, which is also what we were talking about that fall, that harvest, that going through everything, reviewing everything, deciding what works, deciding what doesn't. and making a decision from there. And then I have had 2 cards fall out for this, so I'll read both. So one is the key is October and taking a calculated risk. Okay, we are in October right now. So for those of you who have been sitting on the fence, that's Spirit saying, take that step forward, try it out. You can always reverse, don't worry, you can always go back, but take that leap. The other card is the key is the color magenta. So that color, which I guess is kind of like this color here, and to open up to unconditional love. So for some of you, you might want to bring that color in or meditate on that color. We're being asked to open up to unconditional love, which is very much a heart chakra thing. So focusing on that during meditation or your healing. But we've had a lot of great messages today, guys. I hope that, that something jumped out for you and that you definitely do try like taking that leap, asking your guides and angels for help, and also to use this fall energy to go through the things you need to go through, to discard the things you need to discard, and to get ready for the winter so you can dream yourself a beautiful dream of what you want to create for the next year. All right. So have a beautiful rest of your Tuesday. Don't forget to connect to one of the ancient trees in your area. Just hang out in the energy. You don't even have to have a conversation, but just be in the energy of the tree. You might feel like you get healing from it. You might feel like you get information or clarity from it, but I can't wait to hear how that goes for all you guys. Okay? All right. Thanks so much for coming, and I will see you again soon. Bye.